VCU Oregon game being scrapped, I was supposed to be at that game. So that was my fourth game of the day. You can only pick 4 games a day. That was my fourth game of the day. And when it got scrapped, we were next door. We were in Lucas Oil, and it's split in half. And we're at Missouri, Oklahoma. And when it was scrapped, we were walking into Lucas Oil at the time. And I looked for the game, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just stay here. Texas, Abilene Christian, Joe Golding. You know what I think of Joe Golding. You absolutely know. I've been talking about him how often? And he pulled up the upset.
Too much. You've been talking about him
too much. Too much. But, like, I was right. That dude can coach. He's very similar to Chris Beard, not just because they're boys, but because of their systems and how they approach everything and how they hold guys accountable, how they recruit toughness. And I thought that was the biggest upset of the NCAA tournament so far. I mean, we can argue with Oral Roberts, we can argue with North Texas. I will say this: do any of those teams who they beat have 3 potential NBA players on the roster, which is what Texas had on the front line?
Yeah, well, I mean, Texas, man. I don't even know where to start with that one. I will say this: what Joe Golding did defensively was just unbelievable. So my
ridiculous.
Like, I watched them play before, and I just did not think that they would be able to do what they did against a team that had veteran guards like Texas had, against a team that had NBA talent like Texas had. And they forced turnovers on 36% of the Texas possessions.
Yep.
They got only 1 offensive rebounds against a team that has 3 pros on the front line. Like, what he did was just incredible. And I think
18 offensive rebounds. 18 offensive rebounds. 18.
And I want to give a lot of the credits has to go to Joe Golding, but you also got to give credit to those players, man. Like, do you know how hard it is to play defense as tough and as aggressive as they played for 40 minutes against that level of competition? Like, those dudes, their legs got to be gone right now, man. They got to be so sore. I hope they're in the ice bath or something right now. But, like, all the credit.
Live their balls off.
And that was such an intense game. Like, I didn't really have anything on it, right? Like, I bet the first half under, so, like, I wasn't sweating it out. I have Texas in my Final Four, but, like, I don't give a fuck about my bracket.
Golding knew. Golding told me last night. He's like, I know you picked. I think Beard told him. He's like, Beard told me you picked Texas in the game. I'm like, damn right, I picked Texas.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't pick Texas? They get all the talent. Everybody. I mean, a lot of people in Texas, like myself, going to the Final Four. They were that talented, but. The Joe Pleasant story was awesome too, Rob. Like, this is a kid who I'm posting the story in a minute that I wrote, who was terrible when he was younger. I asked him, I said, I went up and talked to Anthony Pleasant, who played in the NFL for like 15 years. I said, we were talking about him, and he said he was awful. He couldn't dribble. And even Joe Pleasant said to me, he's like, yeah, I was the last one picked in pickup when I was younger. I was awful. He's not wrong. And here's this kid who comes up with, 2 biggest free throws. He's like a 9% free throw shooter for the season, and he buries both. And what I wrote was, I think the tournament needed that a little bit at that time, because, again, we're dealing with the VCU thing, and everybody's worried that the tournament might kind of crumble here, and this thing might spread to other teams, and we might have issues. And I think we needed kind of a good feel-good story last night. And anybody who was staying up for that one saw it with Anthony Pleasant and a Abilene Christian program that was awful 10 years ago. Awful. Division II awful. Not bad in Division I. They were awful in Division II when Joe Golding took over.
They never did anything when Joe Golding took over. And he got there, I want to say it was 2011. I might be making that up. I believe it was 2011. Immediately turned them around, got them to Division I, and now they're in the NCAA tournament, and here they are. At some point, we have to have the conversation about what's going to happen with Shaka Smart in Texas, and is this the kind of thing?
No, we need to do it right now. We have to do it right now. We have to at least touch on it right now. And what would you do if you're Chris Delconic? Shaka Smart appeared to have saved his job this year with a terrific season. Pros on the front line, veteran guards and wings, and now losing again. He's barely made it in the tournament in the past when he's gotten into Texas. And now you got a team that people are picking to go to the Final Four, and you lose to Abilene Christian, a team in your state. in the first round the way you did. Is that a fireable offense now, Rob, or no?
I don't think that you fire him. What I think that you do is you suggest quite vociferously that he look at the Marquette job. I think that's what I would do if I was Chris Del Conte. Obviously he almost got it before. I think that got pretty far down the road. I
wonder if he can get it now. I mean, honestly, if you're choosing between Porter Moser and Shaka Smart right now, and maybe Beeline, and Marquette's got a lot of talent. So if they somehow kept that talent,
I don't think that it'll be Beeline. I don't expect that it'll be Beeline. I could see Porter Moser. I would probably hire him over Shaka at this point, because that's just based off the success that he's had at Loyola. But it's also there are going to be considerations that go a little bit beyond just like how good of a coach that person is going to be. I've heard that they want to make sure that they have a little bit of more diversity in their hiring than they've had in the past, which is something that would need to be taken into account. But I feel bad for Shaka, man. Like this was the year. This was the year to kind of get that monkey off his back. So, and I don't know if he's going to be able to at this point. But
Minnesota could be a good spot for him. To be honest,
here's the problem with Shaka going to Minnesota is that like there are so many other guys that make sense there. I think Marquette is a little bit of a better fit because there's not as many like obvious options. But like Craig Smith is an obvious option at Minnesota. Nico Medved is an obvious option in Minnesota. Brian Dutcher is an obvious option in Minnesota. Tim Miles makes a lot of sense at Minnesota. Like there are 5, 6, 7 guys.
I get it, but did you not see the story that was written recently in the Minneapolis Star Tribune?
I saw it. I just think it's a little bit more. There's a lot of moving parts.
I don't know.
Both of those.
Yep.